Good morning, welcome to SlimChat. It's Tracy and I had a good night's sleep last night. Wasn't the best, but I had about 5 or 6 hours, which sometimes is enough. And I was all a bit dozy this morning, so I slipped in and out of sleepiness. But I got up quite early, which I like, because otherwise the day goes too quick. And but it's just me and the cat today. Gary's at work, so hopefully I'll be getting a few bits done. That noise, if you can hear it, is the bin men. They're outside, and they go really slow. They go house by house, emptying the bin, and then go to the next one, empty the bin. Weird, you know, because when they used to have to pick up bins, wheelie bins they don't need to pick up. Excuse me. Sorry. Thought I saw a spider. Anyway, yeah, when they didn't have to pick up bins, right, they used to carry them, or like park up, carry them to the thing, empty them, take them back, and they were metal. And they didn't, but now the machine does it for them. So they could just wheel it to the machine, hook it on, and it empties it. So they still could park up and make room for for traffic to go. But no, they just go one house at a time, hook up the bin, put it in, put it back, go to the next one, hook up the bin. And if you're stuck down the street, especially like when my kids were young and I used to have to take them to school, and you get stuck behind a wheelie bin lorry on the school run, you're late. You're late for school, and kids are getting moaned at. You're getting this by the teacher, you know, we can't be late, and all that stuff. It used to really annoy me. But you know, back in the day when they actually have to lift the bins, they didn't do that. They parked up. Which, like, you know, why don't you do that now? Just park up and wheel the damn thing. And no. Too logical, that, isn't it? Anyway, so that's probably going to be making a noise outside the house for a while it gets further down the road. So, my movie quote of the day yesterday, I was so shocked only one person got it. It's not what you know, it's what you can prove in court. Am I right, honey? Was indeed law-abiding citizen and Gerard Butler, who talks out of one side of his mouth. So I have a bit of an affinity with him at the moment. So today's, you're surely going to get this. Well, what have the Romans ever done for us? Well, I'm trying to be high-pitched. Well, what have the Romans ever done for us? I know I've referenced this movie before, but not that particular quote. One of my favourites, I have to say. And especially when they're all like sitting around talking about the People's Front of Judea and the Judean People's Front. And I watched a 9/11 documentary that I hadn't seen before last night, and it was all about following of the president around, which was really cool, actually. The stuff that I hadn't seen, and seeing the chaos that surrounded the whole situation with him was really enlightening. And they had one of these Palestinian groups with that kind of name in it. Straight away, that movie popped into my mind. Who's he over there then? Well, he's the People's Popular Front. Well, he ain't that popular, is he? A fantastic movie, I love that. Anyway, that's what made me think of this quote, obviously, this morning, watching that documentary. But it was a really interesting one. And obviously they spoke to Condoleezza Rice, Colin Powell, which I can't understand why it's not called Colin. You know, it's like me. Should I call myself Tracy from now on, you know, because it spelt Tracy, isn't it? But yeah, Colin Powell. Go figure that. Anyway, and others, obviously. And it was, obviously, went from him being at the elementary school, being told, then all the chaos of being on Air Force One, not allowing him back to go to Washington when he wanted to, and him trying to assert himself, and yeah, it was really good. And obviously they interviewed him. And although he is older, he's still got all his hair. So he doesn't look maybe as old as he actually is. But, you know, can't believe it was that long ago now. It's crazy, isn't it? Time so flies, doesn't it? 2001. The day that happened was my second day working for the ambulance service. And it was called Kent Ambulance back then. And I know it was my second day because the first day was induction. And this was the first day of training, and we didn't get a lot done. Because as we came out, I think we were having little assessments. And as we came out to join my colleagues, there wasn't that many of us, there were only 4 on that particular intake. And they were in the break room. So we went into the break room over TV, and he said, oh, plane has crashed into the World Trade Center. And I didn't even know what the World Trade Center was. I had no idea. You know, you see the New York skyline, there's these 2 big buildings sticking up. I had no idea what they were. Never heard of the World Trade Center, even though it had that bomb previously. I probably saw all the news bulletins about the bombing, but I didn't really register and remember what the name of the building was. And I guess he'd been to New York, so he'd obviously seen them. So, but I hadn't got a clue about the World Trade Center until that day. So our first day of training was watching it. So I always know the date that I started work because it was the day before. So when people say, oh, when did you start working? I'd go, oh, September the 10th, 2001. And I say, oh, you can remember that? We're like, yeah. But the only reason is because of September the 11th was the next day. It's the only reason that I remember. But it was a bit weird for us because I was not a call taker. I wasn't being taken on to be a call taker, like taking the 999 calls. I was taken on to work on something called the response desk, which later on in life changed a lot. But back then, you worked on a desk which was the whole of Kent, and you had all staff at your fingertips. So you could use any station staff, any manager. It doesn't matter if they were the guy in charge himself. If he wore a uniform and he had it on that day, he was to be used. And you had a helicopter, you had bikes and cars, all that sort of stuff. Anything that wasn't in an ambulance, you had doctors, community responders, everybody. So you had to watch all calls coming in. And they all had different protocols that they could go to or be stood down for. And so it was a really busy, buzzing, really interesting job. And that's what I was taken on to do. But initially, to get some experience and some geographical knowledge, try saying that, when you've got tongue-tied, I had to do some call taking. So there we were, learning the call taking, knowing we had to do it, thinking about all those emergency calls that were going through at that precise moment in time, which actually probably jammed the system completely. And then when they play that one where that guy is really crabby, and I'm going to hang up now. And you think, God, I bet that haunts him. Mustn't it? That he was that short with, because he must have been, just stay where you are. And he's telling someone to stay where they are. Must really haunt him. I often think about that guy and people who were told to stay where you are, and you're telling them to stay there, they're obviously going to die then. So, well, how did I get onto this subject? But anyway, it was better off talking about the People's Popular Front. Anyway, never mind. So, watching that documentary, though, it was one I hadn't seen and one that came from a totally different angle, and it was really, really interesting and good to see. And it reminded, only the other day I watched Air Force One. Get off my plane. Oh, I will do that one day. One of my favourite movies of all time. And I have to do that when you've all forgotten about it. I'll do that movie quote. So, I only just watched it where all the press were at the back and the Secret Service were in the middle and the president at the front. It's like, wow. It actually was on the day of the 9/11. So, wow. Anyway, it was, if you haven't seen that documentary, I recommend it. I don't know what it's called. Obviously 9/11, but something to do like with the president. Should have actually got the title, but I just didn't plan to speak about it. But it's obviously, I guess all these things are popping up on TV because we're coming up to the anniversary of it happening. So, and you know, what also came home to me, and it's very political today, I know, was the fact that from that moment on, when President Bush first made his first few speeches and said, they'll all know who we are soon, or they'll all hear from us soon, you know, meaning I'm going to get you, and we're at war with terror. And the first part of that was Afghanistan. And how poignant is it that now, yesterday was the day of complete and utter withdrawal from Afghanistan, and the Taliban are in charge. So that whole war, what did it accomplish? So it brings everything into your mind, you know. And so it's weird that it's almost as well the anniversary of what started it all. Oh, well, let's get on to a much more happy subject like food. Yesterday, Gary made me a cauliflower cheese, and he made it gluten-free and dairy-free. It was really, really yummy. I've still got some left for today. So we had a cooked chicken, the spatchcock chicken, which I hate saying, which we had yesterday. So I've still got some left from yesterday. I've still got cauliflower cheese and new potatoes. So that is my dinner today. It was my dinner yesterday. It was lovely. So, and cauliflower cheese always tastes better the next day once it's marinated in itself. So that is what I'm having today. Gary's having homemade kebabs, I believe. He took his leftover cauliflower cheese. He makes a phenomenal one, and I used to eat that one. So I think he took that to work, or he took the kebabs to work and he's going to have that when he gets in. I can't remember which way round. He changes his mind too, so I mean, he's having one or the other. But yeah, so that's what I've got today. It's absolutely lovely though, so I'm looking forward to that. And I don't mind having the same thing twice if it's that good. So yeah, sorted for today. But I did buy myself a Romanesco. I don't know if you've ever seen them. They are bizarre looking. I'll go, if I can find it. Okay, so Romanesco is my favourite. It's kind of like a cross between a broccoli and a cauliflower. And it looks like an alien. Looks like an alien kind of place to live, doesn't it? It's got I put it in the fridge, so it's got a black point now. But yeah, they're bizarre looking little florets. And it normally comes with all leaves wrapped around it, just like a cauliflower. But I love this. It's more creamy tasting. It does look like alien terrain, but it is beautiful. It's called Romanesco. And I love it when they're in season. My favourites. So I've got that. And I've got some chicken thighs, raw ones obviously, in the fridge. So I have things that I can make myself for dinner while Gary's at work, because I like to just try and pare my diet back to vegetables, meat and potatoes, that sort of thing. That's my I always try anyway, because we have when Gary's off, we have so many sauces, you know, like the cauliflower cheese, and we'll eat stuff like the takeaway like we have been. So I like to try and say, no, okay, I'm just going to have chicken with veggies, and this is phenomenal, beautiful. So if you haven't tried Romanesco, it is gorgeous. So that's in the fridge anyway. I've got to eat it soon, because otherwise all those little points would go black. And it's not off or anything. It's just where I've put it in the fridge and it's been touching the top part of the salad drawer. Anyway, so that's what and there was a little bit of that in my cauliflower cheese, only because one bit fell off, so I said, oh, I might as well put it in. But they're lovely. So yeah, every day I'm eating something new, which is good, and something different. Like this morning, I had a cinnamon bun for breakfast, and I know it's not the most healthy thing, but I was starving when I woke up, and Gary had taken one and left one in the little plastic box, tantalisingly close to the kettle. So I thought, oh, a cup of tea and a cinnamon bun for breakfast. What could go wrong? But it was lovely. And then I just sat there watching a little bit of the news, crocheting to sort of, I was working out my foundation chain, so, and getting started on a project. So yeah, I didn't like make a pig of myself. It's just a small cinnamon bun, but not the sort of thing I usually have for breakfast. I usually have eggs or something. But yeah, and I managed it. But I was, before now, if I had anything, like, I would cut it up or break bits off. But this, I was biting into it and managing to eat it without any problems. So as far as eating's concerned, you know, I'm more or less back to full noshing capacity, if you like. You know, I can eat steak now, and I can do most things. There was one thing I had trouble with, and I can't remember what it was now, but I did found it hard to swallow it, and I think it was noodles. That was the one thing. When I had I've cut them up all small and everything else, but noodles is a weird one because it's all stringy, but I think that was the only, and they had these mange tout peas or something strips in, which just stuck to your sort of teeth or mouth. That's the problem I have, that my tongue doesn't have I can do bits, I can get bits out of my teeth, but whereas I used to be able to use my tongue to really get around my mouth and loosen stuff that got stuck, I find that very hard now. It doesn't have the same reach that it used to have. So yeah, kind of do have some issues, but I've really conquered most foods. So that's a bit of a milestone, which is good. So just still a bit more speech I'd like to improve upon, but hopefully I'll hear from them soon. I was hoping to hear from them long before the 6 weeks, because after 6 weeks, it's hard to get your scar tissue to be more elastic. So I'm stretching it and I'm doing these exercises and everything to try and get as much out of it as I can now. But I would like their input to see if there's things I could be doing that I'm not. But of course, I won't hear from them until it's all too late, and it'll be too difficult to get it going. So I'll just carry on doing what I'm doing. Hopefully I'm doing the right thing. I've Googled as much as I can, but very little on there, to be honest with you. So anyway, I'm going to get off and upload this and, well, go get on with my blanket so that I've got another tutorial to do. So thanks for watching. Stay safe, take care, and I'll see you on the next one. Bye for now.